Hi everyone, else here from Time to Invest. Doing an update on England um, exiting the euro. They have the referendum tomorrow. I believe will be 10 o'clock here in Australia Eastern Time, and they have the referendum or the polls opening tomorrow. So um, there's a few things that I wanted to say from my last video. The confidence breaking, the breakthrough confidence of break exit part 1. So this is break exit confidence part 2. So I would like to add that Janet Yellen had a speech last night, and she mentioned the consequences of Britain exiting the euro. What could happen and how bad could be. Well, she scared the shit out of everyone because what she's saying is it will happen anyway, but it won't happen in the extent that she's pretty much putting onto. So even if Britain do not exit the euro, what she's saying is being managed and is being prepared to happen sometime this year anyway. So what they're looking for is they're looking for an event. Like the Britain leaving the EU will be a good event, and they could turn around and blame on the British people and blame on the British nation and say, well, because they've decided after 10 years to exit the euro now, this is what's happening now. So all the market volatility is a big chaos. Things are happening, and market is falling, the sky is falling because the Britain decide to leave. And David Cameron is playing a big part of it as well, because the British people cannot blame him, cannot say, "Oh, listen, this is what you've drove us to 7 years on your 7 years that we've been electing for you. This is what you've brought us to. You brought us to chaos. You did nothing." But if Britain stays, and the EU decide, because at the moment they're trying to push for Turkey to be one of the EU countries as well. And Turkey has approximately 99% of Turkish people believe are Muslim or are Muslim related or believe in Muslim. So believe it has different beliefs than the West people do. So Britain is worried that they have no problem in taking people into their countries and help them and giving them houses and da 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 da. That's what they've been doing they've been doing this for a few years, yeah. Before the EU and after the EU, they've been doing that already. So they have no problem of continuing doing that. What the big issue is that, let's say that EU decide that um, England has to take 1,000 or even 2,000 refugees from Afghanistan or from Turkey or from Middle East, right? And Britain will find it very, very difficult to sustain that poll or sustain that belief or that call, because the way that Britain is looking at is that they have no skills, and they believe in a different religion that the British people believe, and they will be creating a lot of problems, because their beliefs are different. So that's what the stand up is for. That's what the British people don't want the Europeans, or sorry, not Europeans, the Middle Easterns, to come into the country anymore, because they can see a lot of volatility already with bombs going off, and they call terrorist attacks up and down, and everywhere around the world. They can see all these things happening, and yet in saying that, they're gonna let 2,000 of more refugees coming into their countries to different areas, right? From the 2000s, God knows how many could be the radical ones, right? And how would that be safe for England? How would they control their own country? That's what the problem is. So David Cameron had said many times that if Britain leaves, it will be chaos, and pensioners will live in their pensions, and People, they cannot come, and it's like they're absolutely isolated from the whole world. No, that's not true. If they leave the euro, they still have their control. The euro can say, the European community can say, can you take 2,000 refugees? And Britain can turn around and say, we can't take 2,000, but we can take 500. And from the 500, they have to have those beliefs, or they have to have those categories. They have to have those skills, and things like that. So Britain can sit there and negotiate it with EU, and who they want, and is that person going to bring prosperity for their people, for their country, for their companies, for things like that, or is that person is going to be coming in, or is going to be sitting on a door, sitting on the Centrelink or the door or whatever you want to call it, yeah, and just living out of taxpayers' money. That's what the problem is. Now, the Prime Minister is looking for somebody to blame. So he's playing with the US, and he's playing with Janet Yellen, and he's playing with Europe, David Cameron. So he's taking their sides, and he's saying, oh well, if we don't stay, yeah, all these things can happen, and I cannot put a stop into it because I'm here and I'm telling you guys that if you guys don't stay, right, things can get really, really ugly. And you have the other party saying, hang on, you look at Switzerland, they're not an European community, and it's fine. They have no issues. They're doing pretty well. You look at, other countries that have no connection whatsoever with the European community, they're doing very, very well. There's no issues. So why does Britain really have to stay? Is because if Britain stays, they're already on it, but if they stay, the hero will making those decisions, and David Cameron is not even going to be called in or told how many people he should take and from where they're coming from and what skills they have. He's not going to be told anything. The EU Council of Members or Members of Council or parliamentarians or whatever, we don't know who they are. They could be people that hate British people. They could be people that love British people. They could be anything. They might have, they have nothing of the best interest in with England, but they make decisions on who Britain takes and who Britain doesn't take, and the British people cannot vote them out and cannot vote them in. So that's what the problem is. That's why Britain don't want to stay, and that's why um, Boris are saying we lose our solvency because they can decide to overpopulate England with a lot of immigrants that hate us, right? Wants to destroy us because let's not forget that Britain been in a few wars recently. They've been in Iraq invasion. They've been a few wars in the Middle East, and they're not really, really loved out there either. So that's why they don't want to stay. They're quite happy to support people, and they've been doing that for years and years before they're in the EU. And after they're in the EU, they were still taking people from different countries and support them and giving them houses and things like that. And some people wouldn't even have to work. All they have to have is 5 kids, and there you go. They've got a house and they live well and no issues, of the British people, the British taxpayers. But this game is coming to an end, so that's all over now. So they don't want that now, and EU wants to continue doing the same thing to Britain, to Portugal, to France, and to Germany, all those countries. And the second part is if Britain do actually eventually leave, what is that going to show to other countries like France, like Italy, German? Even German will say, "Hi, you know what? I don't think what am I here for? I don't think I want to stay either. I think I just want to leave you guys." But Germany already have too much investments, in the EU. So Germany and France are playing the big part on the EU. So they are the head of the snake. They are the head of the EU, and they are making decisions behind the doors, who goes where and who does what. Um, that's the reasons why. And the reason the US is so worried about the UK leaving is because England is very powerful in military as well. And the US has got absolutely a lot of influence on UN, and when they went to the Iraqi war, they had a lot of influence, and they went with British people. They went with a few United Nations troops, but it was majority was US and British really, and they feel really support. But if Britain is not there, then they don't feel support. So obviously, it's the best interest of America to have Britain stay in the EU, not leave in the EU. Of course, it would be best interest. And of course, things will break apart a little bit because of their confidence is gone. But Britain is not going forward. Either does America is not going forward. They're going backwards. And we're coming down to the end game, which um, this printing cannot keep going anymore. And Janet Yellen and the elite people are looking for events that can justify um, the breakdown of confidence of economic, at this present time. So that's what we're facing at the moment. So we're facing a Fed, an elite that knows that they've printed too much money, and the whole system is going to fall, and yet they're looking for an excuse on how we're going to turn this around and who we're going to blame. So they normally blame with wars. They normally start wars, illegal wars, and things like that, and say, oh well, if we didn't have the World War II, this wouldn't have happened, or oh well, if we didn't have this and that, we would be fine. you know but unfortunately, um there's nothing we can do. So that's what the problem is. So I believe that they still want to exit, and it's actually been a lot of noise at the moment because a lot of billionaires and a lot of companies and a lot of rich people in England are actually making noises that they want to leave, and they can see why. And my eyes are open more and more when I see their documentary and I read. I see more and more the reasons why they want to leave, and there's no way they should stay. There's absolutely no way they should stay. There's no way. Why would you want to vote for a prime minister on your country to go to the EU and push for events and push for border security and push for things for your country to support your country, and that prime minister have no say. He absolutely has no say when he goes to the meeting with the EU Board of Councils. He's got no say. They pretty much lock the door, close the door on him, go and discuss, behind black doors, what should happen and what should go and whatever. And then they come over and they inform him. Inform the Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister Cameron, this is what we expect your country to do from this month to that month, is take so many refugees, is do this, do A, do C, and da 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 da. And then he has to go and tell his nation, as a prime minister, this is the deal that I've done with the EU. Because we're in the EU, it's good for us. It's good for us to have this, to have that, to do this, to do that. And the people are looking at him and thinking, what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on in his head? What is he doing? Why do we even have him representing the UK? It's because he has no power in the EU either. So therefore, it's obviously best interest for England to leave, because if you don't like somebody, you vote that person out and you put somebody else there. If you don't have the power of vote, then what's the point of having that person there? That's why I believe the referendum, that's just my belief, my opinion. It doesn't matter how the vote goes. What it matters is who counts the votes and who's there representing those countings, right? So if they're all part of EU, they all want to stay, England will still stay. So the votes will come up saying that, oh, you know what, this much people want to stay, and therefore, yeah, Britain will stay. regardless if you had 99 saying leave and 1% saying stay. It's all who's counting, who's sitting there doing the counting. But let's wait and see if and when this happen. And even if Britain stays, I think they already erupt a lot of controversy and breakout of confidence, and that's what is going to erupt anyway. So even if they stay, things are going to happen, and people are going to say nasty things about you know them staying in EU, and the EU is going to continue doing those reforms for them and implementing things that they believe they want them to do, and they don't even know who's making those decisions, who's implementing those kind of things, behind closed doors. They have no idea. They have no fucking idea who's implementing them. So anyone that they should leave. Why should you stay? Why should you stay? Why should I have somebody implementing rules in my house and because that person wants the best for me? Why? It's the same you go into a doctor. I'll give you a simple example. You go into a doctor and you're sick and the doctor needs to operate you. But he's going to operate you, but he's not going to tell you. You don't know where you're going to be operated. You don't know why you need to be operated. You don't know what's wrong with you. He just says, "Oh, he needs to operate you for your best, for the best interest for your health. He needs to operate you. He might wants to kill you. You don't know. You're not allowed to ask. You only been told what he's going to do. So just think about it. Yeah, think about it. That's the way I see Britain. Britain did not know, right, what's been decided closed doors. If and what they're asking for is more clarity. What they're saying is, listen, we don't mind staying with Euro, but we need to have clarity. If you go and represent us on the board of EU or Brussels, you go to Brussels to represent England, and we want less refugees, or we want better situation, better deals, better tariff, better this, better conditions with with the retirees and things like that, then come back and tell us what happened. How did you go? What did they ask? What did you give them? How did you go? How was the deal went? No, they don't want that. They don't want that because they already had decided they don't want to deal with small little countries like Portugal, like Spain, like Italy, Greece. They don't want to deal with small little countries about, oh, I have to go negotiate with this country and now that country. They find it too hard. Well, hang on, you're getting paid for it, mate. You're getting paid a couple of £100,000 or dollars or whatever, right? A year, which is a really good money. You have like a free everything because you work for the government, right? To go and do this kind of negotiation. People are voting and believing on you to go and do that. So they don't want to deal with that. They think, oh, the excuse is, oh, no, there's too much worry and it takes too long to push a policy here or to push a policy to the left or to the right. It takes too long. It's better to just have one board of represents all the countries, yeah, and whatever they decide, that will be it. Well, then why all these people, why all this World War I, World War II, what all these people die for? These people die for their solvency. They die to defend their countries. They die because they believe that they do what they want to do on their country. So if that happens, Britain will lose the solvency. Simple as that. Britain will lose the solvency. So I can't wait to see what happens. So the gold and silver are getting ready to take off. Event is absolutely all set up to go. So it's this way. So you have the gold and silver coming down this way, and you have event coming down this way. So everything is about to go bonkers. So let's wait and see. Tomorrow will be a very interesting day, and I'll be watching and I'll be um, analyzing every single event. I'll leave you guys in peace. Take care. Be cool. And I'll see you later. Bye.